Hey everybody, Tati here. I am going to do a tribute to my favorite author of all times, Darren Shan, the author of the Cirque de Freak books, the best series in the world. I love this book and I love this author because he's just awesome. He's like right next to R.L. Stine and Edgar Allan Poe as my favorite authors. The man is a genius. So I know that some people are lazy and don't like reading, so I'm just gonna read this book to the people that are interested in this book or just are bored and watching my video for no reason. So let's begin. Introduction. Always been fascinated by spiders. I used to collect them when I was younger. I spent hours rooting through the dusty old shed at the bottom of our garden, hunting the cobwebs for lurking egg-laid predators. When I found one, I bring it in and let it loose in my bedroom. It used to drive my mom crazy. Usually the spiders would slip away after no more than a day or two, never to be seen again. But sometimes they hung around longer. I had one who made a cobweb above my bed and stood guard for almost a month. Going to sleep, I used to imagine the spider creeping down, crawling into my mouth, sliding down my throat, and laying loads of eggs in my belly. The baby spiders would hatch after a while and eat me alive from the inside. I loved being scared when I was little. When I was 9, my mom and dad gave me a small tarantula. It wasn't poisonous or very big, but it was the greatest gift I ever received. I played with that spider almost every waking hour of the day, gave it all sorts of treats, flies and cockroaches and tiny worms, spoiled it rotten. Then one day, I did something stupid. I've been watching a cartoon in which one of the characters was sucked up by a vacuum cleaner. No harm came to him. He squeezed out of the bag, dusty and dirty and mad as hell. It was very funny. So funny, I tried it myself with the tarantula. Needless to say, things didn't happen quite like they did in the cartoon. The spider was ripped to pieces. I cried a lot, but it was too late for tears. My pet was dead. It was my fault, and there was nothing I could do about it. My parents practically hollered the roof off when they found out what I'd done. The tarantula had cost a lot of money. They said I was irresponsible, and from that day on, they never again let me have a pet, not even an ordinary garden spider. I started with that tale from the past for two reasons. One will become obvious as this book unfolds. The other reason is this is a true story. I don't expect you to believe me. I wouldn't believe it myself if I had lived it. But it is. Everything I describe in this book happened just as I tell it. The thing about real life is, when you do something stupid, it normally costs you. In books, heroes can make as many mistakes as they like. It doesn't matter what they do because everything works out in the end. They beat the bad guys, put things right, and everything ends up cool. In real life, vacuum cleaner kills spiders. If you cross a busy road without looking, you get whacked by a car. If you fall off a tree, you break some bones. Real life, nasty. It's cruel. It doesn't care about heroes and happy endings the way things should be. In real life, bad things happen, people die, fights are lost. Evil often wins. I just want to make that clear before I begin. Oh, one more thing. My name isn't really Darren Shan. Everything true in this book except for names. I've had to change that because, well, by the time you get to the end, you'll understand. I haven't used any real names. Not mine, my sisters, my friends, or teachers. Nobody's. I'm not even going to tell you the name of my town or country. I don't dare. Anyway, that's enough of an introduction. If you're ready, let's begin. If this was a made-up story, it would begin at night, with a storm blowing and owls hooting and rattling noises under the bed. But this is real life. So, I begin where it really started. It started in a toilet. I was in the bathroom at school, sitting down on the toilet humming a song. I had my pants on. I came in the near end of English class feeling sick. My teacher, Mr. Dalton, is great about things like that. He's smart and knows when you're faking and when you're being serious. He took one look at me when I raised my hand and said I was ill, then nodded his head and told me to go to the bathroom. Throw up whatever made you sick, Darren, he said. Then get your behind back in here. I wish every teacher was understanding as Mr. Dalton. In the end, I didn't get sick, but still felt queasy, so I stayed on the toilet. Heard the bell ring for the end of class, and everybody came rushing out on their lunch break. I wanted to join them, but knew Mr. Dalton would be angry if he saw me in the yard so soon. He doesn't get mad if you trick him, but he goes quiet and won't speak to you for a while, and that's almost worse than being shouted at. So there I was, humming, watching my watch, waiting. Then I heard someone calling my name. Darren! Hey, Darren! Have you fallen in or what? I grinned. It was Stephen Leopard, my best friend. Stephen's real last name was Leard, but everyone called him Stephen Leopard, not just because the name sounded like. Steve used to be what my mom calls a wild child. He raised hell wherever he went, got into fights, stole from stores. One day he was still in a stroller. He found a sharp stick and promoted passing women with it. No prizes for guessing where he stuck it. He was feared and despised wherever he went, but not by me. I've been his best friend since kindergarten, when we first met. My mom says I was drawn to his wildness, but I just thought he was a great guy to be with. He had a fierce temper and drew scary temper tantrums when he lost it, but I simply ran away when that happened and came back once he calmed down. Stephen's reputation has softened over the years. His mom took him to see a lot of counselors who taught him how to control himself, but he's still a minor legend in the schoolyard and not someone you mess with, even if you were bigger and older than him. Hey, Steve, I called out. I'm in here. I hit the door so he knew which one I was behind. He hurried over, opened the door. He smiled when he saw me sitting with my pants on. Did you puke, he asked. No, I said. Do you think you're gonna? Maybe, I said. Then I leaned forward all of a sudden and made a sick noise. Blah. But Steve Leopard knew me too well to be fooled. Give me my boots a polish while you're down there, he said, and laughed when I pretended to spit on his shoes and rubbed them with a sheet of toilet paper. Did I miss anything in class? I asked, sitting up. Nah, he said. The usual crap. Did you do your history homework, I asked? It doesn't have to be done until tomorrow, does it? He asked, getting worried. Stephen always forgetting about homework. The day after tomorrow, I told him. Oh, he said, relaxing. Even better, I thought. He stopped and frowned. Hold on, he said. Today's Thursday. The day after tomorrow will be. Got you, I yelled, punching him on the shoulder. Ow, he shouted. That hurt. He rubbed his arm, but could tell he wasn't really hurt. Are you coming out, he asked then. I thought I'd stay in here and admire the view, I said, leaning back on the toilet. Quit joking, he said. We're down 5-1 when I came in. We're probably 6 or 7 down now. We need you. He was talking about soccer. We play a game every lunchtime. My team normally wins, but we lost a lot of our best players. Dave Morgan broke his leg. Sam White transferred to another school when his family moved, and Danny Curtin had stopped playing soccer in order to spend lunch hanging out with Shia Ling, the girl he likes. Idiot! I'm our best forward. They're our best defenders and midfielders, and Tommy Jones is the best goalkeeper in the whole school. But I'm the only one who can stand in front and score 4 or 5 times a day without fail. Okay, I said, standing. I'll save you. I'll score a hat trick every day this week. It will be a pity to stop now. We passed the older guy smoking around the sink as usual, and hurried to my locker so I can change into my cleats. I used to have a great pair which I won in a riding competition, but the laces snapped a few months ago and the rubber along the sides started to fall off. Then my feet grew. The pair I have now are okay, but they're not the same. We were down 8-3 when I got to the field. It wasn't a real field, it was just a stretch of grass with painted gold points at either end. Whoever painted them was a total idiot. He put the crossbar too high at one end and too low at the other. Never fear, Hotshot Shan is here, I shouted as I ran onto the field. A lot of the players laughed at or groaned, but I could see my teammates picking up and our opponents growing worried. I made a great start and scored 2 goals inside a minute. It looked like we might come back to draw or win, but time ran out. If I arrived early, we would have been okay, but the bell rang just as I was hitting my stride, so we lost 9-7. As we were leaving the field, Alan Morris ran towards us, painting in red face. There's my 3 best friends, Stephen Leopard, Tommy Jones, and Alan Morris. We must be the weirdest 4 people in the whole school because only one of us, Steve, has a nickname. Look what I found, Alan yelled, waving a soggy piece of paper under our noses. What is it, Tommy asked, trying to grab it. It's, Alan began, but stopped when Mr. Dalton shouted at us. You 4, inside, he roared. We're coming, Mr. Dalton, Steve roared back. Steve is Mr. Dalton's favorite, gets away with stuff that the rest of us couldn't. Like when he used swear words sometimes in his stories. If I put some of the words Steve has, I would have been kicked out long ago. But Mr. Dalton has a soft spot for Steve, because he's special. Sometimes he's brilliant in class, gets everything right, while The other time he can't even spell his own name. Mr. Dowden says he's somewhat of an idiot savant, which means he's a stupid genius. Anyway, even though Mr. Dowden's pet's not even Steve can get away with showing late for class. So where Alan had, he would have to wait. We trudged back to class, sweaty and tired after the game, and began our next lesson. Little did I know that Alan's mysterious piece of paper was to change my life forever, for the worse. Chapter 2. We had Mr. Dowden again after lunch for history. We were studying World War II. I wasn't too excited about it, but Steve Dog was great. He loved anything dealing with killing and war. He often said he wanted to be a soldier of fortune, one who fights for money, when he grew up, and he meant it. We had math after history, and incredibly, Mr. Dowden for the third time. Our usual math teacher was out sick, so others been filling in for him as best they could all day. Steve was in seventh heaven. His favorite teacher, 3 classes in a row. It was the first time we had Mr. Dowden for math, so Steve started showing off, telling them where we were in the book and explaining some of the trickier problems as though speaking to a child. Mr. Dowden didn't mind. He was used to Steve and knew exactly how to handle him. Normally, Mr. Dowden runs a tight ship. His classes are fun, we always come out of them having learned something, but he wasn't very good at math. He tried hard, but we could tell he was over his head. And while he was busy trying to come to grips with things, his head buried in a math book, Steve by his side making helpful suggestions, the rest of us began to fidget and whisper to each other and pass notes around. I sent a note to Alan. I seemed to see the mysterious piece of paper he brought in. He refused at first to pass it around, but I kept sending notes and finally he gave in. Tommy sits just 2 seats over him, so he got it first. He opened it up and began to study. His face lit up while he was reading. His jaw slowly dropped, and when he passed it on to me, having read it 3 times, I soon saw why. It was a flyer, an advertisement plan meant for some sort of traveling circus. There was a picture of a wolf at the top of the a wolf head at the top. The wolf had his mouth open and saliva was dripping down his teeth. At the bottom there was pictures of a spider and a snake, and they looked vicious too. Just beneath the wood, in big red capital letters, read "Cirque the Freak." Underneath that in smaller writing, "For 1 week only, Cirque the Freak see Sives and Sarasa, the Twisting Twins, the Snake Boy, the Wolfman, Gretchen Teeth, Leonard Krebsley and his performing spider, Madame Octave, Alexander Ribs and the Bearded Lady, Hands, Ramis Two Bellies, World's Fattest Man." Beneath all that was an address where you can buy tickets and find out where the show is playing. Right at the bottom, just above the pictures of the snake and spider, "Not for the faint-hearted. Some restrictions apply." Cirque the Freak, I muttered softly to myself. Cirque was French for circus. Circus of freaks. This was a freak show. It looked like it. I began reading the flyer again, immersed in the drawings and the description of the performers. In fact, I was so immersed I forgot about Mr. Downing. I only remember him when I realized the room was silent. I looked up and saw Steve standing alone at the head of the class. He stuck out his tongue at me and grinned, feeling the hairs of the back of my neck prickle. I stared over my shoulder, and there was Mr. Downing standing behind me, reading the flyer, lips tight. "What is this?" he snapped, snatching the paper from my hand. "It's an advertisement, sir," I answered. "Where you get it?" he asked. He looked really angry. I never seen him this worked up. "Where you get it?" he asked again. I licked my lips nervously. I didn't know how to answer. I wasn't going to tell on Alan, and I know he wouldn't own up by himself. Even Alan's best friends know he's not the bravest in the world. But my mind was stuck in low gear. I couldn't think of a reasonable lie. Luckily, Steve stepped in. "Mr. Downing is mine," he said. "Yours?" Mr. Downing blinked slowly. "I found it near the bus stop, sir," Steve said. "Some old guy drew it away, and I thought it looked interesting, so I picked it up. I was going to ask you about it later at the end of class." "Oh." Mr. John tried to look flattered, but I could tell. Tried not to look flattered, but I could tell he was. "That's different. Nothing wrong with an inquisitive mind. Sit down, Steve." Steve sat. Mr. Down stuck a thumbtack on the flyer and pinned it to the bulletin board. "Long ago," he said, tapping the flyer, "there used to be real freak shows. Greedy Common, Cram, malformed people in cages, and Sir, what's malformed mean? Somebody asked. Someone who doesn't look ordinary, Mr. Dodden said. A person with 3 arms or 2 noses, somebody with no legs, somebody very short or very tall. They come and put these poor people, who were no different from you and me, except in looks, on display and called them freaks. They charged the public to stare at them, invite them to laugh and tease. They treated those so-called freaks like animals, paid them little, beat them, dressed them in rags, never allowed them to wash. That's cruel, Dale. The Delana Price, a girl near the front, said. Yes, he agreed. Freak shows were cruel. Mantra's creation, that's why I got angry when I saw this. He tore the flyer down. They were banned years ago, but ever so often you hear a rumor that they're still going strong. Do you think Cirque the Freak is a real freak show? I asked. He studied the flyer again, then shook his head. I doubt it, he said. Probably just a cruel hoax still, he added. If it was real, I hope nobody here would dream of going. Oh no, sir, we all said quickly. Because freak shows were terrible, he said. They pretended to be like proper circuses, but they were crescent of evil, cesspits of evil. Anybody who went to one of them would just be as bad as the people running it. You have to be really twisted and want to go to one of those, Steve agreed, and then he looked at me wicked and mouthed the words, "We're going." So that's it. Maybe if people comment and say that they want to hear more, I'll do chapter 3 to 5, maybe. Depends on if people want it more. Anyway, I'm done with this. Bye, everybody.